Staples is selling me a package for $39.99. I can go ahead and get it right through Staples, right? That's the real easy one. And I say this, if Staples sold you a hip replacement package for $59.99, how many of you guys are going to go into Staples, get your hip taken care of for $59.99? Show of hands. But that's much cheaper, right? So if you're going to go to a professional for a doctor, you might want to go to a professional for this as well, right? You don't have to go to a lawyer. You absolutely don't. Go to LegalZoom, but LegalZoom is not going to stop you from making a mistake. And guess when you find out that you've made a mistake? Yes, it's too late. Or you've already paid LegalZoom, then you come to me, take a look at this. And I say, what did you do? What is it? Who is this? Who created this? Right? And you say, I did. It's my work. And then I get to hurt your feelings and say, champ, come over here and sit down. Come over here and sit down, right? So the idea is do it once, do it right. An ounce of prevention is worth a. There we go. So you've heard it. All right, Steve Jobs. Anybody know who this guy is? All right. The only reason why I put him up there is because my seminar is titled Running From It Will Not Save You, right? This man had everything, right? He's on top of the world. In one weekend, they sell 5 million of his phones in one weekend. Like one weekend? I bet you 10% of the people in here got one of those phones, right? So we're sitting here saying, this man had it all. There's nothing he couldn't buy except more time, right? Running from it will not save you. So, that's the one piece of bad news that I got for you today. Unfortunately, everybody in this room is going to pass. I'm sorry to have broken that news to you, but I'm saying it's going to happen. And so the idea is you take the time to prepare while you have the time to prepare. Now, we want to talk real quickly about advanced directives as well, right? Durable power of attorney. The short and skinny of power of attorney is a durable power of attorney is naming somebody else to be responsible for your financial decisions when you are no longer able to make those financial decisions. Okay, that's the short and skinny. The problem with a durable power of attorney or different powers of attorney is the people that you want to give them to don't necessarily have to accept them, all right? So if I could write up the most beautiful durable power of attorney, I've done it, I think. I thought it was beautiful, right? Nice, lovely language. It's notarized, it's signed, it's initialed, it's this, it's that. It's as pretty as it could possibly be. There is no court of law that would absolutely shut this thing down. But my client takes this to the bank, and the bank says, thanks, but that's not on our form. That means nothing. It's just a piece of paper. And I say, what are you talking about? Right? Because banks are not forced to handle that document. All right? So what we have to do is you have to at least plan. There are ways of planning, and especially within trust, where you can talk about, name the people that you want to have to make the financial decisions for you, the disability, if you become disabled, right? So there are different ways of doing that. All right, I got the 5-minute call, so I'm almost hooked. All right, anybody know who this guy is? Luther Vandross, right? Luther Vandross, okay? I'm not disparaging his character at all either, right? But in April of 2003, he had a stroke, right? He passed in July of 2005. Okay, so that's 2 years. Somebody had to take care of his possessions. Somebody had to take care of his rent. Somebody had to take care of this, that, and the other. And so I don't know who did it, but I'm just saying that is one situation where you would want to have some type of a power of attorney, right? Because you don't know what it is, but you just want to make sure that it's done properly. Healthcare directive. Has anybody ever heard of the woman Terri Schiavo? Okay, Terri Schiavo. And I'll skip the Q&A just because of time. 37 years old, has a heart attack in her kitchen. She's unconscious. They finally get her to a stable position. A couple months later, she's been brain dead for X number of time. Long story short, 15 years later, they pulled the plug. It was a court case, it went all the way up to the Supreme Court. George Bush was trying to create legislation to make sure that they did not, take her off this plug. Now, don't get this twisted. If you don't do this, they're not going to bring this decision up to Barack Obama. Don't think that. Don't think that if I don't make this decision, Barack Obama's going to be able to pass some legislation to make sure they choose what I'm going to do. Don't get this twisted at all. Okay? So what I'm saying is, make the decisions you can make when you can make them. Anybody know who she is? Etta James. Etta James, in 2008, she was diagnosed with dementia. Okay, she didn't pass until 2012. Okay, so that's 4 years. Now, let's just say January 1st, 2008, she got diagnosed with dementia. December 15th, she probably had dementia, right? So who knows what date that is, right? And if somebody comes and tries to argue, somebody can absolutely make a valid argument. She didn't know what she was talking about if she created some will in December 15th, right? She had dementia. She got diagnosed on the 1st of January, but she's been out of her mind for the last couple of years, right? That's how folks don't talk about you when you're not here, okay? So what I'm saying is, while you're sound, while you have your wits about you, to do the things that you can do to take care of the things that you can take care of. In summary, I want to go back to the very point I made. It's not necessarily about estate planning, but it's about proper estate planning. And you guys have the tools to be able to diagnose what is proper estate planning. Now, you may not be able to look at the face of the document and be able to read it, but you may be able to take it to somebody else and say, hey, is this document handling these different things? Okay? So you want to be able to make sure that you can make proper estate planning decisions. Chaos versus peace, okay? We're talking about one way of handling things, simply going through a will process. Chaos. You're guaranteeing that you have at least 1 year of chaos. It doesn't, now maybe it's good, maybe everybody's singing Kumbaya, it works great, but it's still it's a year that you're having to deal with it, and it's expensive, right? I've done this, I've done them for $4,000, I won't do that again. I've done it for $5,000, probably won't do that again. We're looking at least $6,000, just what I would charge because of the hassle, the headache, and all the stuff that you had to put together, right? So you say, is there a way that you can sit down and take care of your documents ahead of time such that you're not guaranteeing chaos, right? And if you don't have a will or you have a will, you're going to have to deal with that probate chaos, okay? And lastly, if you go to Tyrone.legacycomplete.net and sign on, it'll at least document you here, and there will be a drawing for a $100 gift certificate, gift card. So the address is www.tyrone, that's on the black placard, that postcard that I sent out, Tyrone.legacycomplete.com, or .net, and that's all. Do we have any questions? Do we have time for questions? 2 minutes. All right, 2 minutes. Somebody's got to have a good one.
Are wills on file, like for say for instance, I have a will. Are they on file for my children to look at?
You can.
My cousin to go look at?
You can. You can put them in the local register of wills throughout your county. Prince George's County, at their courthouse, they have what's called a register of wills for $5. You can put your will in there and just make sure everybody knows where it is.
Is it mandatory that you put it?
It is not mandatory, no. Yes, ma'am.
When you leave someone insurance and on your death they do they have to pay tax on that amount of money? Is it added to their income?
Depends how much it is. If it's $60, no.
No, like
If it's
$150.
$150, no. The thresholds are going to be at $1 million for state, and it's higher for federal. Yes, ma'am.
Can you avoid the probate process?
Yes, by creating a trust.
Creating a trust?
Yes. The question was, can you avoid the probate process? And the answer to that is yes, you can. By having a trust. The will guarees you the probate process. Yes, sir.
I have a trust.
Yes, sir.
Between me and my mom. I wanted to know, when she passes, at the time, does the government have any right to make any changes? Or can they put any taxes on it? I mean, I think the trust is good, but,
As it pertains to taxes, it's going to depend on how much is transferred, but you're also, so can the government make changes to it? No, not that I know. You're not going to make changes to the document that you have is going to be the document that controls. Correct. Yes, ma'am.
I just read a story that this lady's mother died like 4 years ago, and then the government attached her taxes because of an overpayment to her mother, who is now deceased. So is that some kind of combined trust or something they may have had?
I would need more information to be able to answer that one. I don't know the story that you're referring to. Yes, ma'am. All right. Here's the last question, if you don't mind.
Can you please explain the trust definition again? Because I didn't really understand it in the example of this suitcase trust.
Okay? If I had appropriate words on this, this is a trust. It's gonna be a set of paperwork. Okay? It's gonna tell you what it is that you would like to do with your documents. Okay? The reason why I use a case is because when I say you can put something inside the trust, it means that this is going to name and list some things that you want to have happen. All right? There's probably going to be an attachment at the back that says, my house. I want to put my house. I want my house to be covered by this trust. I want this to be a controlling document that decides who has ownership rights of this house. So that's why I call it a big box, big suitcase, or something like that. Okay?
Dies without a will, and you want to, say the children wants to, have a trust. Is there a statute of limitation on, when, they can establish the trust? And, when they can establish that?
Can you say it? I'm not sure I understand the question.
Okay, said a person dies, say like parents die,
Person dies.
without will, and the person wants to establish a trust.
They can't do it once they're dead. Once they've passed, they cannot create a trust.
They can't?
Nope. Once you're dead, somebody's going to say that you did not have the mental capacity to be able to make that.
No, I'm saying that, because I was told that, the children, can't open their trust, for that, trust.
An estate is the probate process, and that's basically saying that's the process to determine how you're gonna disseminate the things that are within your estate. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question? I think we'll talk about this one offline.
I had a quick one. Most times, the older generation say, well, I'm gonna leave this to my children. What happens when your children die before you? Then what?
Chaos.
Yeah, I know. What suggestions, in the next topic, what suggestions do you have?
Well, I mean, it's gonna go somewhere. It's gonna go somewhere. Your possessions are gonna go somewhere. But the reality is, if your children, all of your children predecease you, then there's gonna be probably some grandchildren. If not grandchildren, there's gonna be, siblings, your brothers and sisters, your parents. It's gonna go to your heirs. There's gonna be some way that somehow within the state they're gonna find who it belongs to. Okay, well, I appreciate it.